Hi, welcome to Teach With Me. I'm Miss Jen. We are in the month of October, and so I am going to be doing two pumpkin activities. One of them is a labeling project where we're going to have the kids label a pumpkin inside and out. The second one is where we're going to be exploring a pumpkin. Oops, there's a store label on that one. And we're going to be cutting it open to count the seeds, but first the kids are going to estimate the seeds. So let's get started. The first thing I want to do is differentiate between kindergarten and first grade. Kindergarten and first grade, you're going to do this a little differently. When I did kindergarten, I did one pumpkin all together, like on a document camera, so that I could count for the kids, and I would show them how to do it because we were going to put them into piles of 10. For first grade, I'm going to give, I had about 28 students, and so what I would do is I would put them into groups of 5 or 6, and then I would give them one pumpkin, and they would work together to put the seeds into groups so that they could count them. But the very first thing that I would do before we did anything is they would get this paper, and I would talk to them about this paper. And it says, how many seeds are in my pumpkin? And it's just a guesstimate. But we talk about how an estimate is a guess that is based in reality. For example, I'll say something like, do you think there's 1,000,000 seeds in this pumpkin? And they'll say, no. I said, no, because that's not a realistic guess. I said, do you think there's 0 seeds in here? And they'll say, no, that's not a realistic guess. I said, so what I want you to do is think of a number that you think could really be in this pumpkin. Now, kindergarten, they don't really know numbers, really high numbers. Some of them do, but a lot of them don't. So what I do is I take all of their guesses for kindergarten and I'll write them on the whiteboard. And then at the end, we'll figure out which one was the closest, who had the closest estimate. But for first grade, they're going to figure out on here, they're going to write their guesstimate. I don't know why I keep saying guesstimate. They're going to write their estimate on here. And then after they count them, sorry for the glare, they're going to put their actual answer here. And then it says, was my guess close? And they're going to evaluate their own answer and see whether it was close using that circle, that faces. And then at the bottom, it's going to say, did it have more or less seeds than you thought it would? And then more and less are the answers. But for kindergarten, we're going to do this part all together. Okay, I typically used this size. This has less seeds in it, but I'm going to be 100% honest. I did it with this pumpkin. This pumpkin is way easier to cut than this size. So that's up to you because you do have to pre-cut them. Obviously, you can't bring a knife into your classroom. So I pre-cut them and then I brought them to school. But for first grade, I left all this mess in here for them to scoop out. And I would give them plastic sporks so that they could scoop it out. And some of the girls are like, ew, we don't want to do that. But they all get into it after a minute. Anyway, so then what I do is I'm going to pretend that I'm giving this to you in a small group. I'm going to talk more about the small groups, but because whole group you're doing the same thing, you're just doing it all like on your document camera so that all the kids can see it. All right, so the next part, I'm going to put this on the document camera so you can see how I count out the seeds. All right, so now they'll have all their seeds. You might want to wait a day. It kind of depends how long it takes them to get all these seeds out of their pumpkin. But mine are dry because I did them before. So what I would do is I would have all of the kids, they would have some kind of a piece of paper where they're making circles. A paper plate works really good too so that you don't get your seeds everywhere. But it's probably easiest if you have pre-drawn circles onto something, whatever you're choosing to use, a piece of construction paper, a cookie sheet with parchment paper, a paper plate, whatever you're choosing to do. And what I would tell the kids is you're going to count and put 3, 4, 5, you're going to put 10 seeds in each one because we're going to count by tens. And this, remember, this is more for first grade, although I'll do it for kindergarten too, but whole group. Anyway, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I think I got to make my circles a little bigger. But anyway, I'm just going to do a couple and then show you what I do after that. So 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now, this does take a little while for the firsties. But it's really good counting practice for them. It's really good, you know, for working together. This is just a valuable activity. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right, I'm gonna stop right there. I'm gonna pretend they're all full. They have to do all of the seeds, and then once they're done, they're gonna go like this: 10, 20. Pretend that there's seeds in all of these. 30. 40, 50, 60, and so forth. All right, so then once they have all their seeds done, that's when they're going to finish filling out this form. And now I'm not super practiced yet at attaching things to my YouTube, but I am going to try to attach this form to my YouTube video. I will get better at this, but anyway, this is a form. You can adapt this, you can change it, you can even add measuring to it. For example, what do I mean by measuring? Well, you can take, I'm going to move this out of the way, you can take your pumpkin and have the kids measure it using a ruler or using these little cubes, and see how long they think it is, and they can do another predicting. How many cubes tall do you think this is going to be? And then you measure it with the cubes and predict it. Or you can actually use a ruler. Each of these cubes, I believe, is 1 inch. So I'll have to measure that to see, but I believe that's the case. So anyway, so that is one activity. All right, I told you we were also going to do a pumpkin labeling activity. So for this one, you are going to need to have a pumpkin that opens up, because we want to model the outside of the pumpkin as well as the inside of the pumpkin. So what you're going to need for this is you're going to need to have a pumpkin that you have either drawn or that you get a model for. And I simply drew one. I'm going to move this out of the way. I simply drew one on a piece of construction paper, cut it out, and put once I cut it out, I put it on another sheet of paper and traced it. Excuse me, I don't know why I lost my train of thought there. And I traced it, and so then I had 2 of the same size pumpkins. I prefer the kids to cut this out themselves. However, you have to be very clear about them not cutting off the stem. Are you still going to have kids that cut off the stem? Yes. But once they do, then go around with your stapler and just staple them together, the ones that do not have their stem cut off. And then it's a time to talk about how you're going to label it. All right, so you also need to have pieces cut. I have a dividing tray that I typically use for this, otherwise they're just going to mix up the words. You're going to need to do this either in small group for kindergarten or whole group, where you're walking around with your speedy shoes on and making sure they're grabbing the right word. And I'll show it to them. I'll show them on the document camera. You want the one that looks like this, S-E-E-D-S. But are you going to have kids that get this one because it also starts with S? Or this one because it also starts with S? Yes, you are. So it's easiest to do it in small groups, but it can be done in whole group because I've done it in whole group too. It just takes a little bit more effort. One tip though, I learned this after the second or third time I did this, and I don't know why it took me so long. but I just handed them out. I ran around with my Speedy shoes on and just handed them out. So when we were doing seeds, I would run around and give everyone seeds. And when we did ribs, same thing. Pulp, same thing. Shells, same thing. All right. So ribs go here, and I would say, boys and girls, take the one that starts with the letter R. Ribs, the one I just gave you, and you're going to put it right here. And then we would just label the whole pumpkin. The vine and the leaf, I did not make labels for because I just added that this year, but I like how that looks. I like it better with the leaf and the vine. All right, I think that is it. Inside, I used some of the seeds from the previous activity. Once they dry, they'll be part of the seed labeling inside. And then for the pulp, I don't use actual pulp because that's just gross. You can use yarn. When I did this, I did not have yarn. I did have rubber bands, and that worked out well too. Okay, I think that is it. I hope you have a wonderful day. If you found this video helpful, please like, subscribe, and share.